Hi folks, Jamie McIntyre here on behalf of the Australian National Review.com, one of the few independent news sites in this country, with Sky News now being their attempt at censoring about the only other news channel in Australia right now that's defending against this tyranny, martial police state in Victoria. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. What happened to the Australian men? Where are Australian men in politics that actually have some balls to speak the truth and stand up? Scott Morrison, I don't know, but you're becoming a very deep disappointment for many Australians because you simple fact you don't have any balls to stand up. Where are you as the Prime Minister, the leader of our country, to put Dictator Dan Andrews in his place? Make it very clear. Just put him in his place. Here is a state premier that thinks he owns the fucking state, trying to run the world in Victoria, locking down our fellow Victorians, our fellow Australians in oppressive conditions, putting a curfew on them. The most excessive, out of control, ludicrous lockdowns on the entire planet. Not even communist China did this to their people. This is far worse than this. It's making a mockery of Australia's reputation. It's renowned around the world now. People are seeing this going, what the hell is going on in Australia, in Victoria and Melbourne particularly? And why is the Australian Prime Minister, the Australian federal government not doing anything about it to defend the human rights and civil liberties of fellow Australians? And why are Australians so laid back, doing very little about it? And I mean, I'm just not going to stand for it. I know how, and I speak for many Australians. I know how they feel. Because clearly I'm more connected to how Australians feel than you politicians are, because you have no idea. Scott Morrison, a message on behalf of fellow Australians: grow some balls. Stand up to Dictator Dan Andrews. Boot him out. Now, if you don't feel you have the power to do that, very simply, you're the Commonwealth government. Stop all funding to Victoria immediately. And to Dan Andrews, resign. Just cut off the money. Put every pressure on Dan Andrews. Say you're out of line. We don't accept terrorism. We don't accept communism. We don't accept dictators, state premiers who take orders from Bill Gates, from the Chinese Communist Party, from Hillary Clinton, George Soros and co. Go to some communist totalitarian country if you want to live like that, Dan Andrews, and fuck right off. But I can tell you now, us Australians are fed up with your bullshit. Now it's spreading to other Labor premiers, such as Queensland Premier is now locking down Queensland. What, over a couple of cases? Remember, this is something where there's not enough people sick from this falsified pandemic. They have to invent cases. Cases of people not even sick. 1% of people that are sick show some form of symptoms. And even those people are easily treated, or could be easily treated if they got seriously sick from this. But we're not allowed to give them hydroxychloroquine and zinc and these methods. Craig Kelly, one of the few politicians in this country with some balls, standing up to Labor, who's clearly in bed with the commies and Soros and co, who are wanting to deny treatments, the treatments that can help the very tiny few people that can manage to somehow get sick from this so big bad pandemic that it can't kill anyone without them already dying and inflating the death numbers. I mean, it's a really serious pandemic. Not to dismiss that, yes, it isn't a health concern, but compared to what? Compared to cancer? Compare this to cancer and it rates about 1% of the importance of cancer. You know, compared to a bad flu, yeah, it relates to bad flu pretty much. So have we ever gave a shit about a case of someone that caught a flu but didn't even know they had the flu because they weren't sick? I mean, that's how ridiculous this is, a couple of cases. So they only get their power, folks, from the dumbest of the dumb in the electorate. So I say to those people not yet awake, please do your fellow countrymen a service and just stop believing the Channel 7 news, the Channel 9 news. Ask some questions, demand evidence of this global pandemic that was going to kill all these people, 160,000 Australians, by the Gates-funded modelling that shut down our economies and destroyed thousands or probably now tens of thousands of businesses and it's cost millions of jobs. And Dan Andrews won't allow the media to report on the suicides in Victoria. But I already know just through people have been updating me how many people, I don't know the total amount, but I know there's a lot of people sadly are not with us now. And now that he wants to push these 12-month lockdowns or another 12 months, which he got away with 6, I think, You know, how many more people have already taken their life because of that? Dan Andrews, you're a moron. You're dangerous to our society. Catch the first plane out of here to China and fuck right off. We don't want you. Scott Morrison, grow some balls. I can tell you now, a warning to our gutless politicians. Australians are rapidly losing faith in their constitutions and have already lost faith with the mainstream media bullshit. You guys have no credibility there. And what happens when we majority lose faith, which is pretty much there's going to be a revolution. So we're going to have it one or two ways. You fuckers are going to have to resign and step aside, and we'll put some real leaders, some real men and women in charge of this country that has some fucking balls, or there's going to end up being a civil war. Because I know Australians are not going to be forcefully vaccinated with some dodgy Bill Gates vaccine, and we're not going to live under totalitarianism society, and Victorians don't have to tolerate this any much longer. Get rid of Dan Andrews, Mr. Morrison, or we're going to come after you.